Hi, I'm Darrell Budd, and today I'm here to introduce you to General Stuart Beare. He is a gentleman that used to be our Lieutenant General in Canadian Armed Forces. He has since retired, and I'm here today to ask you to be part of his mission, as it is part of our mission, not only from Budd's BMW, but a company called Funding Innovation, to take that next step in our mission to pack parachutes.
Homelessness as a phenomenon in Canada is very real, and we see people that are living homeless in all sorts of ways in our population centers, cities, towns across the country. There's never really a consciousness that amongst those were veterans. Just 3 years ago, a small number of volunteers in uniform created this little organization called Soldiers Helping Soldiers. And they were curious. They wanted to know if there were veterans amongst the homeless in the community that they were living in this case, Ottawa. And so they asked for permission to form a little team of volunteers in uniform who on a once a week or every second week basis in uniform could go for patrol. And they would go to the missions, they'd go to the food banks, and they'd walk amongst the folks on the street. And they'd be present amongst the homeless community. And what they discovered was that those Canadians living without an address would say, "Hey, Major, how's it going?" Or, "Hey, Sarge, what you up to?" So they were identifying themselves, not directly, but by actually recognizing rank. And the uniform became a catalyst for those amongst the homeless community to identify themselves as veteran. And that conversation could then lead to a relationship. And so for 3 years, this little team of one of the very many movements working amongst homeless communities, Soldiers Helping Soldiers in Ottawa, has surprisingly, shockingly to many, encountered no less than, as of yesterday, 328 veterans on the street in Ottawa. If you extrapolate that across the population centers in major cities and towns in Canada, the number then would tell you there's way more than we would have ever suspected. One thing about military life is you share certain things. You share a sense of purpose, you share a sense of mission, and you obviously share a sense of community. And in many cases, these folks have lost those things. Last month, a veteran in Ottawa who was suicidal confessed that intention to a member of Soldiers Helping Soldiers. That individual engaged with the local police service who was familiar with the community of the homeless. They engaged with that individual, prevented him from doing anything untoward, and then they accelerated that particular individual's engagement with Veterans Affairs, with the Legion, with the local community, with the health services, with peer support. That person today is living financially independent with social services on a path towards recovery by virtue of that catalyst, that connection in that community. And they live from St. John's to Victoria to Iqaluit. And we got to be mindful that they're in all those centers and that somehow, some way, we need to continue to reach out, to identify them, and to provide the resources to the folks who are serving them better than we're doing today. To use the vernacular in the military parlance, if you can't be the jumper, at least help pack the jumper's parachute. Funding Innovations, Budd Motor Group, and communities like yours are joining in that. In a world where we see the pointy end of the spear, the real game-changing goes on the shaft of the spear, where people are packing. And even more so where they know they are. And where they know that the pointy end of the spear knows they are and says, "Thank you."